Today I'm heading into the Rila Mountains to visit the largest and most famous Eastern Orthodox monastery in Bulgaria. And normally when I go out on adventures like this, I make my own way there. But to get to Rila Monastery from Sofia, there's one bus a day at 10:20 from the, I think it's the West bus station. So it is possible to do it yourself, but on this occasion I thought I'd go with a guide. Now it's not going to be a guide for the actual monastery itself, it's just basically transport. And it just seemed easier this way. So I think that might be my van down there actually. So we stopped off at the Bayana church and we've just been inside it, and there's only actually kind of three rooms. Two of them have got the fresco paintings. It's absolutely beautiful inside, but you're only allowed 10 minutes in there and then you've got to go. Now this part was built in the early 11th century and it was just this. This was the church. It was then extended to the 13th century, and what they actually did is they came into this part and kind of painted new frescoes over the top of the old ones, and there are parts where you can actually see the second layer has come off and you can see the original frescoes. This third part was added much later, basically just to add more space, and it's much less interesting than the first two parts. At one point the local people wanted to knock this church down and build a new one. It was this woman that prevented it from happening, the Queen of Bulgaria. If you want to visit the church, it's 10 lei admission, and that gets you 10 minutes, and they only allow 6 people at a time. Here we are at the Rila Monastery. It just took us about 2 hours driving through the Rila Mountains. The scenery was amazing. So this is the residential part of the monastery, and there are 199 rooms. Back in the day there would be up to 350 monks living in this monastery. Today there are just 9. And you can actually rent a room, you can stay here. And over there you've got the posher rooms where you'll have all the usual amenities: mattress, blankets, sheets, towels, hot water. Over here are the cheaper rooms, and this is where you'll get a more authentic experience, because this is where you will live how the monks themselves used to live. So there will be no mattresses, no sheets, no towels, no hot or cold water. Now it looks like there's 4 levels to the residential part. You've got the ground floor and then 3 other floors, but there are actually 5. There's another row underground, and the reason why it was built underground is because no buildings were allowed to be built taller than the nearest mosque. This dates back to the Ottoman rule of Bulgaria, which lasted for approximately 500 years. Situated all around the monastery, these springs with the mountain water. Very cold. Now these pictures here, there are 20 frames, and what this represents is, this represents a soul. So on every single picture, it's the same person. This is the soul, this is the guardian angel, and these are the kind of monsters trying to tempt the soul. Each one represents a different test, determining whether the soul will go to heaven or hell. And for the soul to be granted permission to heaven, it needs to pass all 20 tests. The picture above shows the person who actually built this monastery. The reason why he's sat in front of a cave is because for the last 12 years of his life he lived as a hermit in a cave. This is the defensive tower, and this is the original one. The monastery was built in the 10th century, but the church burnt down. The church was wooden, but the tower remains because the tower is made of stone. This is the back entrance to the monastery. It's the same as the front entrance. These are the original doors. These used to be kept closed, and people used to enter using this door here. And the idea behind this, there was two reasons. One reason is that people were supposed to bow as a sign of respect as they entered the monastery, and having to go through that door would force them into bowing. The second reason would be that if a person was too big that they couldn't fit through that door, then that means that they had sinned because they were overeating. You can see just how much it's been snowing. Down here there's a bakery, and I'd read online that the bakery is supposed to be pretty damn awesome, but everything's closed. Here we can see the underground level. This is the kind of ground floor, and down here is the kind of basement floor, and even below that there's another room there. That's where the monks make their wine. Now they don't sell it, they don't offer it to anyone else. The only people that get to drink it are the monks themselves. I'm missing a trick there. I'd buy a bottle. This is the biggest pilgrimage site in Bulgaria, and has been for many centuries. Now, in true Eastern Orthodox church style, you can't actually film inside. It's got a list of all the things you're not allowed to do. So you can't film, you can't take big backpacks in there, no skirts, no shorts, any kind of cropped clothing. To be honest, the outside is most impressive anyway. It's quite dark inside. Whereas out here, you can see all the fresco paintings in all their colourful glory. It's quite amazing actually being here. During lockdown, when I was doing my research for places to visit in all the countries that I've been to so far, and I got to Sofia and then found this Rila Monastery, and it almost didn't seem like a real place. It just seemed to be a place that existed just on my computer. Of course, there was no chance to visit any of these places back then, but I'm here now. What a beautiful sight. I've walked around the monastery about 16 times now. We've got a couple of hours here, so and it's a beautiful place, but you can literally do the whole thing in 10 minutes. But there is a museum here as well, which I've just been to. That's pretty cool. You have to pay extra for that. The monastery itself is free. You don't have to pay to come into the monastery. The museum you have to pay 8 lei for. We're going to take a few more photos now and then get back in the van and head back to Sofia. One last look at the Rila Monastery.